Some fish can allegedly be branded as vampires and relatives of aliens. This holds true when discussing lampreys, which are notorious for attaching themselves to the skin of their prey using their specialized mouths, upon which they feed on their prey's tissues and body fluids, including blood. Due to this, lampreys are considered external parasites that belong to the order Petromizoniformes, with approximately 40 different species. Among these species, silver lampreys are considered the most primitive since they retain many features seen in fish that lived during the Devonian period, 400 million years ago. Lampreys are common in the waters of the North Atlantic, North America, Europe, southeastern Australia, Tasmania, and the Southern Hemisphere. They can be described as jawless fish that lack scales, jaws, vertebrae, true fin rays, and paired fins. Their skeleton is composed of cartilage instead of bones, and adult length can range from 20 centimeters to 1.20 meters. Lampreys closely resemble eels and have an oral disc or sucker that houses their sharp teeth and tongue with horny denticles, which they use to attack other sea creatures. Their teeth are made of keratin, the same substance that forms our fingernails. Since the mouth and respiratory tube of lamprey fish are separate, this allows them to draw water over their gills for gaseous exchange while their mouth is clamped to the attacked victim. During a vampire attack, lampreys normally latch onto their prey with their toothed sucker, using their teeth and sharp tongue to tear and bore a hole in the victim's skin. This allows them not to be easily dislodged, and with this kind of attack, the victim's defense mechanisms are so limited. As they bore the hole, the lamprey's saliva prevents blood from clotting and allows them to drink their victim's blood until sated. Following the attack, victims rarely survive due to the open wound that is prone to infection. Typically, the early lives of lampreys are spent as blind and filter-feeding larvae. At this stage of their life cycle, they are referred to as larval lampreys, or amacoetes, and it takes 3 to 7 years for them to transform into free-swimming lampreys that migrate to the sea. Interestingly, their worm-like larval developmental stage can live for up to 17 years buried in a river or lake bed. However, towards the end of their larval stage, lampreys undergo an intricate change that transforms them into free-swimming and sexually immature lampreys that migrate to the ocean or lakes, where they embrace their parasitic nature. This particular trait can last for a period of 1 to 3 years. After their parasitic lifestyle in the sea, these particular lampreys return to a freshwater environment for their final maturation. They normally prefer freshwater streams and rivers characterized by sand, gravel, or pebble substrates that allow them to breed and provide ample homes for their young ones to spend their early lives there. For your information, the phenomenon of lampreys spending a portion of their life in fresh water and another portion in salt water makes them anadromous fish. Lampreys' maturation stage is marked by nest building, fanning behavior, and the production of mature eggs and sperm, all without feeding. The male lampreys are normally the first to arrive and take responsibility for building the nests using stones in the shallow parts of the river or stream before the female lampreys arrive. Once the females arrive, they attach themselves to one stone of the nest with their mouth parts. The male lamprey then attaches himself to the back of the female lamprey, and she lays the eggs while the male sheds his sperm. Once the eggs are fertilized, they stick to the stones in the nest and are then covered by sand. Between 14 and 21 days later, the eggs hatch into larvae or amacoetes, which swim down the river. They then burrow themselves into the river bottom with their upper part facing the current, where they spend up to 7 years filter feeding. They then metamorphose into parasitic lampreys that migrate into the seas where they feed for up to 3 years before returning to freshwater to spawn. Surprisingly, adult lampreys normally spawn only once in their lifetime, and then shortly die. Some of the notable lamprey species include the pouched lamprey, short-headed lamprey, sea lamprey, and silver lamprey. The pouched lampreys, also known as wide-mouthed lampreys, are common in coastal waters of the southern hemisphere. They are grayish in color, and depending on their reproductive developmental stages, they exhibit bands of blue-green or brown on their bodies. Pouched lampreys normally live in open waters for approximately 2 years, and then return to fresh waters for spawning. Their spawning usually takes place during the night, and they prefer nights with heavy rains or a dark moon. The short-headed lampreys, also known as Australian or Murray lampreys, are common in coastal waters of southeastern Australia and Tasmania. Their body color is normally grayish-brown, but they turn blue when migrating to spawn. Their larval stages mostly feed on tiny plankton, algae, and detritus filtered from the mud. The silver lampreys are common in the freshwater streams around the Great Lakes and Hudson Bay regions, as well as the St. Lawrence. Their body color is usually grayish-brown. The gonads in the male and female silver lamprey are normally unpaired and median, which suspends them from the dorsal wall of the body cavity by a mesentery containing connective tissue. The parasitic phase normally feeds on fish blood and muscle tissues. The sea lampreys, also known as eel suckers, green sea lampreys, or lamprey eels, are common in coastal waters on both sides of the North Atlantic, the Western Mediterranean, as well as the fresh waters of the Atlantic coasts of Europe and North America. Most mature sea lampreys occupy the open waters of the Atlantic Ocean and Mediterranean Sea. They are grayish-brown in color, and their intense predatory behavior has been linked to the decline of fish populations in the Great Lakes region and Lake Champlain. A high mortality rate has been demonstrated among most of the victims of sea lampreys. The female lamprey can lay up to 200,000 eggs, which explains their high numbers and survival rates. Despite their vampire-like nature, lampreys play a significant role in the ecosystem. Their larval stages help in the recycling of nutrients, while the adult lampreys serve as a source of food for predatory fish and birds. However, lampreys in their parasitic phase have been identified as a menace to fish populations, as they expose their victims to infections, greatly reducing their chances of survival. This situation has been observed in the Great Lakes, where measures and efforts to control the predatory lampreys have been carried out by the Great Lakes Fishery Commission. This particular commission was established in 1955 through a treaty between Canada and the United States. The invasion of lampreys can be traced back to the opening of the Erie and Welland canals in 1819 and 1829, respectively. These canals allowed fish from Lake Ontario to migrate into the upper Great Lakes from the Atlantic Ocean. Eventually, lampreys established themselves in Lake Ontario by 1930, where they preyed on the fish population, leading to a significant decline in fish numbers. Now, you can agree with me when I call these creatures the vampires of the sea, right? Let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, we come to the end of this video. I hope you have enjoyed and learned something. Just in case you would like to see more of such content, please don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell icon to get notified once a new video is uploaded. Thank you so much for your ongoing support, and see you in the next one. Cheers!